Hi guys. So when it comes to so much of our anxiety, so much of our struggles, they're relationship based. And I'm just going to talk a little bit today about relationships, specifically the impact that having kids can have on your relationship with your significant other. Now I'll start off by saying I have a disorder which makes relationships extremely challenging. And I don't know whether this makes me more or less qualified to talk about the actual topic, but sure, I'm going to give it a lash anyway and see how it goes. Now, the thing is, there is no relationship that is not going to trigger something in you. I mean, we all have little niggles in us, our little wounds, our little pains from our past that are generally created within the context of a relationship. And when we don't heal those at the time, generally they occur in our formative years, we carry them into our present day relationships, and they can really impact the way in which we interpret other people, the way in which we engage in our relationships, and the way in which we're able to show up for ourselves and for our partners. Now, the thing is, throw kids in on top of any relationship and it is going to hammer the shit out of it. I mean, with any relationship, you should be realistic. You should expect a certain amount of inevitable misery. I mean, relationships are funny like that. Some days they can make you feel like the most valued, appreciated person in the world. And then other days they can make you feel like the most misunderstood, lonely person on the planet. And that's just the, I suppose, ebb and flow of relationships. I mean, ultimately, we like to think that they come automatically, that they're easy, that they're romantic, that they're fun. The reality is they take a hell of a lot of work, a lot of effort, and it involves us seeing parts of ourselves, acknowledging the aspects of ourselves that need to improve in order for our relationship to be a strong place that both parties feel safe and feel secure and feel connected on every level, on an emotional, a physical and a mental level. So it's important, as I said, when going into a relationship, to look at your values, make sure that they're aligned, make sure that your belief systems are aligned, and make sure that there's a lot more to it than the superficial side of things, the physical side of things, or what your partner's career is. I mean, oftentimes we look at these things as being important, and really we have to remember that the person that you choose as a life partner is somebody who you're going to have a conversation with every day in your life. So you want that to be an interesting conversation. So make sure that you have the underlying foundations there as well. I suppose looking then at throwing kids into the mix, I mean, it's funny when you look at the satisfaction in relationships, there's a decline in nearly every relationship satisfaction when a child comes along, and that's across the board. And I think we have this romantic idea that when you meet the love of your life, to make a child with them is one of the most loving things you can do to cement your love. The reality is it whacks the shit out of it, and the overall satisfaction with the relationship goes down. But not only that, the likelihood of a couple separating goes down. So people with children tend to make the choice to stay together despite the fact that they're miserable, oftentimes for the sake of the child. And I think one of the main reasons that people aren't putting the work in, or kind of aren't getting the help that they need to navigate their relationship after kids, is because not enough people talk about how difficult it is and the strains that it puts on a relationship. I mean, yeah, we all know that it's going to be a lot less sleep, that there's going to be more demands, that the relationship is going to be more business-like, and more transaction, as opposed to being this really fun, exciting place. However, people don't talk about the fact that sometimes you're going to hate your partner, that sometimes you're just going to resent them so much, that sometimes you're just going to feel so lonely and so isolated. And I seen something the other day, and I was just saying that parenting can be the most lonely, not alone time that you're ever going to experience, because the thing is, you are never alone. The kid is always there, and yet it can feel like you're on demand all the time. And this is such a huge transition for both mother, father, and the relationship itself. And as a result, you may notice your relationship struggling. And I suppose the the only way that you can look at this is from a point of awareness. So, I mean, relationships and children can crack you open, but they can also show you so much about yourself. They can shine a light on areas where you need to heal, where you need to do the work, you know. And if you can learn to show up, if you can learn to be vulnerable in those times when there's a lot of struggle, then you will grow as a person. And I suppose it's acknowledging as well that, you know, this isn't going to last forever. It's funny, like, because when you're in a phase, like, you know, just say your child isn't sleeping, aka my child this week, it feels like as if it's going to go on forever, and it doesn't. You know, it passes, and then you go on to another phase which is twice as bad. And you know, and so on and so forth. But anyway, the point is, it keeps moving, it keeps flowing, it keeps evolving, you know. So it's important to practice as much patience and staying as aware of yourself, but as of your partner as you possibly can. I mean, oftentimes parenting can make us really selfish. Not so much selfish where we become very selfless with our child, but when it comes to our relationship, we become really selfish. It's all about, like, who got the most sleep, and, you know, who got to leave the house last. And as I said, there's a lot of room for resentment to build up. So it's about kind of recognizing that. And they do say, I think it's the Gottman Institute that says that four of the most harmful components for a relationship are stonewalling, defensiveness, contempt, and criticism. And that happens, you know. You will find yourself at times really not liking your partner and really resenting them. And it's about trying to, when you find yourself in that place, putting yourself in their shoes, trying to see that they're just possibly as lost as you are, you know. And about persevering. I mean, relationships are a choice, you know, every single day. And love is a verb. It's not something that happens without conscious effort, without trust, and without faith. I mean, you have to have faith that things are going to come right, you know. And it's about believing in yourself, believing in the other person. And I'm not saying every relationship survives, because they don't. I mean, it's inevitable that some are just going to go their separate ways. But it's recognizing that parenting is a tough time for everybody, and you know that just because you're struggling doesn't mean that your relationship is dead. It may just be that there's so many pressures coming at it at this moment in time. As I said, for me, managing my mental health, I think it was Elizabeth Gilbert that said it, is a full-time job. And then, you know, trying to keep the business afloat and keep my relationship and be a parent can be so overwhelming at times. It just feels like as if the walls are caving in on you, you know. But it's recognizing, as I said, that this too shall pass, you know, and it is a huge opportunity for growth. Kids will crack you open. Your relationship will crack you open. I mean, life will crack you open, and it's about, okay, do I want to run from this, or do I want to grow with this, and making that choice. I mean, ultimately, so much of our life satisfaction is tied into our relationship satisfaction. And if we're constantly feeling resentment, hatred, and anger, I mean, that is going to wear you down. It's just going to make you so unhappy. Whereas if you can work with ebbs and flows and ups and downs of your relationship a little bit better, and have more realistic expectations, and try at all times to, I suppose, meet each other with vulnerability and connection and forgiveness and kindness, then, you know, you'll get through it. You will get through it. And it's not always easy, but as I said, the more you talk about these things, the more you reach out to other people, the easier you are going to find it. If you are struggling with motherhood, if you are struggling with the adjustment, if you are struggling with parenting, if you are struggling with your relationship or any element of your mental health, get in touch with me on the website. It's fundamentals.ie. You'll also catch all of my video content covering parenting, relationships, mental health, anxiety, depression on my YouTube channel, which is Fiona Feely. Go check it out. Like, share and subscribe, please, and I will talk to you again soon.